Another sleepless night. I remember staring at the digital clock on the bedside table, the red numbers burning into the dark room. 3:16 a.m. Same as the night before. And the night before that. I'd been having trouble sleeping for weeks. This strange, heavy silence pressing down on me. I listened for the usual house sounds, the hum of the fridge, the creak of the floorboards settling. But tonight there was nothing. Just an unnerving stillness. Like the whole world was holding its breath. It turned over trying to force my eyes shut. But I knew it was useless. A sense of unease was crawling under my skin. A feeling that something was deeply wrong. I just didn't know what it was yet. Then, the clock flickered, 3:17 a.m. And that's when it started. It wasn't a loud noise at first, more of a deep groaning vibration that seemed to come from the very bones of the house. It was a low, guttural sound, like an ancient tree straining against a storm. I sat bolt upright in bed, my heart hammering against my ribs. The sound grew louder, a grinding, stretching noise that made the hair on my arms stand up. I looked toward the living room wall, the one opposite my bedroom door, and I watched, completely frozen, as the drywall began to bulge outward, plaster cracking and peeling away like sunburnt skin. The groaning intensified, and slowly, impossibly, a dark vertical line split the wall. It wasn't a crack, it was an opening. A perfect rectangular shape was appearing where solid wall had been just seconds before. An ornate, dark wood door, complete with a tarnished brass handle, was manifesting out of thin air, growing from the structure of my home like some kind of architectural tumor. The sound finally stopped, leaving me in a silence that was even more terrifying than the noise it replaced. My first thought was that I was dreaming. This had to be a nightmare, a product of my sleep-deprived mind. I pinched my arm, hard. Pain shot through my nerves, sharp and undeniable. I was awake. The door was real. It stood there, ancient and imposing, looking like it had been part of the house for 100 years, even though I knew it hadn't existed a minute ago. My curiosity, a dangerous and stupid kind of curiosity, started to outweigh my fear. Where did it lead? What was on the other side? My feet moved before my brain could stop them. I got out of bed, my steps silent on the carpet. I reached out a trembling hand and my fingers brushed against the cold, smooth wood. The brass handle was icy to the touch. Taking a deep, ragged breath, I turned it with a soft click. The door swung inward without a sound, opening into a darkness that seemed to swallow the light from my living room. I stepped through the threshold. The room on the other side was a distorted echo of my own living room. There was a sofa, a coffee table, a lamp in the same places, but they were all wrong. The sofa was upholstered in a fabric that felt like coarse leather, and its color was a sickening pale green instead of my familiar gray. The coffee table was just slightly too tall, its legs twisted at an unnatural angle. The lamp cast a weak, watery light that seemed to make the shadows deeper and more menacing. The air was thick and musty, smelling of damp earth and something else, something vaguely metallic and unpleasant. It was like looking at the corrupted save file of my own life. Everything was there, but it was all slightly off, twisted into a grotesque parody of itself. I ran my hand along the back of the weird sofa. It felt wrong, alien. A shiver traced its way down my spine. This wasn't my home. Then I saw the window. It was in the same spot as the window in my actual living room, but the view was impossible. Instead of my neighbor's fence and the small patch of grass that made up my backyard, I saw more of my own house. Another wall, another window, stretching out into the night. It was as if my house had grown a new wing, a physical extension that jutted out into the yard, defying all laws of physics and geometry. My mind struggled to comprehend what I was seeing. The house wasn't just changing on the inside, it was physically expanding, growing like a living organism. I rushed to the window and pressed my face against the cool glass. I could see the edge of my patio, but it was now 20 feet farther away than it should be. The house was literally consuming the space around it. Panic, cold and sharp, finally pierced through my daze. I turned and scrambled back through the strange door, slamming it shut behind me. I leaned against it, breathing heavily, my eyes darting around my normal living room. Everything here was as it should be. The gray sofa, the correctly proportioned coffee table. But the new door was still there. It was a permanent fixture now. As I stood there, trying to catch my breath, I heard it again. That low, groaning sound. This time, it was coming from the hallway. Another wall, another door. I realized with a good trenching certainty what was happening. My house was turning into a maze, a labyrinth, and with every new room, every impossible corridor, I was getting more and more lost. I ran to the front door, my only thought to get out, to escape. I fumbled with the lock, my hands shaking uncontrollably, but as I pulled it open, my heart sank into a black abyss. It didn't open to the street. It opened into another long, unfamiliar hallway, identical to the one in my house, but stretched into an impossible length. There was no escape. The house was building itself around me, trapping me. I was losing track of which way was out, which way was real, and I knew, deep down, that soon I wouldn't be able to find my way back at all. The house was alive, and it was hungry. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy stories that explore the unsettling and the unknown, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what comes next.